Hello trainers, Professor Palm here. Don't mind me, it's the most wonderful time of the year, but it's also the coldest time as well. I'm just using a few fire type Pokemon to help me stay warm through this terrible winter. I think fire type Pokemon are great to have by our side. That's why I'm always happy to choose one as a starter. I'm happy to say my first starter ever, being Torchic, was a fire type. Going with a fire type starter is always a good idea, mainly for the fact that in most games, there aren't a lot of fire types that you can find very early on, and in some regions, fire types are even scarce. With all current 18 typings we have, there are so many Pokemon out there, and it is kind of hard to tell which typing is the strongest. There are some people who believe that Dragon is the strongest, and there's also some people who believe that Fighting type is the strongest. But out of all the typings out there, I would happen to say I think that Fire type just might be one of the strongest. After all, fire is good, fire is our friend. While there are so many fire type Pokemon to talk about, when we talk about how good fire is and how friendly they can be, there's only two Pokemon off the bat I can think of in my mind right now. They're some of the most loyal fire types I have ever raised. And of course, I'm talking about the loyal fire dogs themselves, Growlithe and Arcanine. Yep. These are some of my favorite fire type Pokemon. They've really been great by my side, and I hope that for many of you, these have been great dogs to have as well. We sure have had a lot of dog Pokemon introduced over the years, but for Growlithe and Arcanine, they really left a burning impression, especially for me. When I was a kid, I really loved learning about mythology, and learning that Arcanine and Growlithe are based off of fire dogs crossed with lions from Japanese and Chinese mythology blew my mind, as I thought that was what made these Pokemon so cool. While they may not be legendary, I do think that these Pokemon really do have an amazing legacy. Growlithe and Arcanine are great Pokemon, but I'm gonna be honest, also talking about fire-type Pokemon is a good way to warm myself up from this terrible winter. But if we're also gonna be honest, if you think about it being December right now, what's the one thing we see everywhere right now? That's right, lights. Lots of beautiful lights. Why don't we talk about Pokemon that provide us the light? After all, December is a beautiful time of the year, and also a lot of us celebrate many holidays. So yeah, happy holidays to all of you trainers. Both Growlithe and Arcanine have left an incredible legacy over the years, especially since the fact that these Pokemon are very well known in Eastern folklore. So there really is a lot to talk about these Pokemon, especially when we met them in the Hisui region and even saw their amazing regional variants. So let's talk all about these incredible fire dogs. But before we do that, I want to give a very special thanks to my buddy Chris Crosspoints for the idea of this video. I hope that you enjoy this video to the fullest. Thanks for giving it to me. I also want to give a huge thanks to Michael Kutherson704 for giving me the idea to do this as well. So thanks both of you. I hope that you enjoy this video, but you're not the only ones that I'm going to be thanking today. I want to give a very special thanks and shout out to artist Techronova for my shirt. Today's shirt is the Fire Lizard Within. Since we're talking all about Kanto fire type Pokemon, I thought this is the perfect shirt to wear. If you really like these shirts I wear with these designs, you can buy them on Techronova's shop on Etsy. I have a link to it in the description below. Stop wearing those silly stock image t-shirts. Get a real design that pops. And remember to tell her Professor Palm sent ya. I may not be sponsored, but I still want to thank her for everything she's done. Yeah, that's right. These Pokemon's mains are giving me a lot of warmth right now. Best to stay warm and stay bundled over this cold season. Well, let's talk all about these incredible fire dogs, or I guess we could call them hot dogs. So let's start off with the little puppy itself, Growlithe. Growlithe the puppy Pokemon is based on Japanese statues called Shisa, which resemble lions and dogs. Growlithe also may be inspired by Japanese Shi or Japanese Kumanu, which are guardian statues that also resemble lion and dogs as an entire creature, and oftentimes they're mistakenly known as foo dogs. For its habitat, Growlithe can be found commonly in grassy plains. They really like open fields, and being that these Pokemon are puppies, they love to play. Growlithe truly earned their title as man's best friend because these are some of the most loyal Pokemon you will ever meet. as they're trustworthy, also they're very brave, and Growlithe will remain motionless by its trainer's side until given an order. The bonds between humans and Growlithe have been around since the Stone Age, as these Pokemon are known as the first pets as well as the first dogs. Both have worked together since the dawn of time, and it's even possible Growlithe was a starter Pokemon to early men. Growlithe's sense of smell can only be described in one word: superb! Once Growlithe smells anything, this Pokemon will never forget a scent, no matter what. Its advanced sense of smelling is so strong, it can even determine the emotions of other living things. This is why so many police officers use Growlithe as their partners. Being puppy Pokemon, Growlithe are very playful, and they also have a lot of energy. In fact, these Pokemon can run for about 5 miles without tiring themselves out. But if you happen to own one, they also really like to go on walks. Also, these Pokemon really like to play games, so if you have a Frisbee on you, go throw it. Growlithe love that game. Growlithe also enjoy when someone strokes their long, luscious mane. However, if you stroke them, I'd advise you to be careful, as these things are very hot and you might just get burned. But on the bright side, if it starts getting hot, that means Growlithe is happy. Unfortunately, it just burns you to show affection. As cute as Growlithe is, they can be aggressive and territorial. In fact, if it feels threatened, it will not hesitate to use its fire power. They also give a big bark to give you a warning. Trust me, these Pokemon are anything but all bark and no bite. They have strong jaws, and a bite from Growlithe will hurt a lot as they heat up their teeth before they bite down. This Pokemon doesn't learn the move Fire Fang for nothing, and anything it bites not only will hurt, but also will be completely singed. Growlithe have a lot of energy. This is all thanks to the fire power that builds inside. Along with all the energy they have, the fire power also helps Growlithe style their mane, and some of them have different colored fire when they burn. The brighter the flame is, the healthier your Growlithe is. Growlithe are fearless Pokemon, as it never backs down from anything. In fact, many of them have been known to stand up to foes bigger and stronger and even win these battles, all thanks to their drive and motivation to never give up. Growlithe has been around in so many generations, and it's been around by our side since the dawn of time. These Pokemon have very solid bonds with us. But when we went back to the Hisui region, we saw just how loyal and tough these Pokemon can be. We even saw how rock solid the bonds are when we met its ancient counterpart, Hisuian Growlithe. So let's see what kind of Pokemon Growlithe was in the Hisui region. In the Hisui region, we met Hisuian Growlithe. They looked completely different with that long, beautiful mane that unfortunately covered their eyes. Also, they were a lot brighter with some bright lava colors. Hisuian Growlithe also have a new typing. While they still are the fire typing that we remember them, they now have the rock typing added to them, giving them a vibrant lava feel. According to Professor Laverton's research in the Hisui region, Hisuian Growlithe are often on patrol as they guard their territory in pairs. These Pokemon also really like to play with each other, but they don't hesitate to fight back whenever they are threatened. The indigenous rock components on the Hisuian Growlithe's fur is a result of the volcanic activity in its habitat, as Hisuian Growlithe like to live near volcanoes. Also, because of this powerful flame and rock combination they have together, these Pokemon can swim through lava completely unscathed. If you bond with a Hisuian Growlithe, they'll be your friend forever, as these Pokemon are some of the most loyal and trustworthy partners you could ever have. Also, they have an incredible sense of smell. Sometimes these Pokemon are used as trackers in case someone goes missing, and since these Pokemon never forget a scent, there's no way that they could ever forget you as well as ever lose you. It's amazing and rather sad what we lost to time to what we have now. Growlithe was a whole new species back then. Just like the volcanoes they once lived in and called their home, the rock typing has gone dormant, but the fire in their hearts with their Cantonian counterparts still burns just as bright. Growlithe made its debut in the Pokemon Indigo League series episode, Holy Matrimony, where it was under the ownership of James, as it was his childhood friend. As the series has gone on, Growlithe has been under the ownership of many Officer Jennies. In the Core Series games, Growlithe is the frontrunner of Gym Leader Blaine's team on Cinnabar Island when you battle him in the Kanto games, except for the Let's Go games. Hisuian Growlithe serves as a partner Pokemon to Wharton Palinda in Legends Arceus, and it's also the traveling companion to Perrin in the Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Teal Mask. Growlithe had a signature move, being Flame Wheel. However, sadly this is no longer its signature move, as other Pokemon can learn the move via level up. Growlithe shares its category name, the Puppy Pokemon, with Lillipup, Rockruff, Yamper, and Fidough. Its Hisuian counterpart, on the other hand, Hisuian Growlithe, shares its category name, the Scout Pokemon, with Sentrat and Patrat. In the English beta names for Pokemon Red and Blue, Growlithe's original name was going to be Flamey. In Detective Pikachu Returns, Growlithe is one of the Pokemon that Detective Pikachu can ride during the game to help him out with solving cases. Growlithe is a girl, and she uses her strong sense of smell to track down traces of any scent. Growlithe can be seen as the parallel to Vulpix as well as its counterpart. The reason for this is simple, as both of them are Generation 1 Fire-type Pokemon that evolve when exposed to the Firestone. Also, Growlithe and Vulpix always seem to appear in other games, as one can only be obtained in one of them and the other can only be obtained in the other. On a really cool note, Growlithe has a 75% chance of being male, while Vulpix has a 75% chance of being female. And on a really cool note, both of these Pokemon are based on canine-like creatures of Japanese folklore, with Growlithe being Shisa and Vulpix being a Kitsune. Man, Growlithe and its Hisuian counterpart really know how to bring the heat. One of them's pretty hot, and the other one is like a living volcano. You can't get better than that. For the first dog Pokemon ever, these Pokemon really left a burning impression. But I think it's time to see how much stronger they can get when they evolve. But we can't just level them up, we have to expose these Pokemon to a Firestone. So let's use the Firestone and evolve our Growlithe into Arcanine. That's right, the Pokemon of Legends is here. This Pokemon is as hot as a volcano. You better be ready to turn up the heat, because Arcanine is all fired up and ready to go. Arcanine, the legendary Pokemon, is based on Ryukyuan Shisa, or Kamenu, which are mythical creatures that represent a mix between lions and dogs. Given its earliest Pokedex entries that state it's from China, this Pokemon may be reminiscent of Jiju, which is a mythical fire-eating dog similar to fire lions and fire tigers. Oh, and if you look very carefully at this Pokemon, it also draws inspiration from Chinese guardian lion statues. For its habitat, you'll find Arcanine living in scorched plains in the prairies. They also like to live near active volcanoes, as these Pokemon enjoy big places for them to run around, and also they prefer hot spots. If you think Arcanine is an amazing Pokemon, its proud and regal appearance has captured the hearts of many people since long ago, as its beautiful mane is one of a kind, and watching these things blow in the wind is a sight to behold. Arcanine's mane is very, very soft to the touch, and they're also some of the warmest things out there. But be careful, as Arcanine are very careful with their manes, as they don't let anyone oftentimes touch them, and they hate getting them dirty. Also, some Arcanine use their firepower to style it, and they can even ignite these incredible manes. Some Arcanine even ignite their manes, as they really like to look powerful and beautiful at the same time. Unfortunately, doing this has stirred up a little bit of a rivalry between Arcanine and Pyroar. According to the Pokedex, Arcanine is a legendary Chinese Pokemon, and it is considered to be one of the most magnificent there is. There are plenty of tales of this powerful Pokemon that appear in ancient Eastern folklore, as well as many stories and artwork dedicated to Arcanine. In some ancient Eastern folklore, Arcanine was seen as a legendary Pokemon, and it's been depicted with the 3 legendary birds. However, despite its category name of being the legendary Pokemon, there is no record of it ever being one, as it's not only of its type, and there are plenty of other Arcanine. What Arcanine are most well known for is their speed, as these are some of the fastest Pokemon in the world. And if you think that they're fast to look at, they also look just as majestic when they run. They don't just call Arcanine the legendary Pokemon for no reason, as this fleet-footed Pokemon can run over 6,002 miles in a single day and night without ever stopping, and it moves so fast that it's like as if it's flying. So, if you befriended Arcanine, now not only do you have a loyal companion, you also have a quick travel companion by your side. The fire that blazes wildly within Arcanine's body not only is said to be the source of its power, but also what gives Arcanine its unstoppable drive and motivation, as well as what makes it move so incredibly fast. If you think that their appearance is lovely, trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. Arcanine's fire is the real showstopper. Oftentimes, when these Pokemon perform, they have the power to ignite bright different colors depending on their mood. Oftentimes, the brighter the flame is, as well as the more colorful it is, the healthier they are. A lot of things change for Arcanine when it evolves from Growlithe when it's exposed to a Firestone. However, one thing that it still has when it was a puppy Pokemon is the playful nature, as oftentimes Arcanine are playful and they like to race one another to see who's the fastest. Also, when it comes to a pack, the one with the longest mane as well as who's the fastest gets to be the leader. Also, just like with its previous evolution in Growlithe, Arcanine has been around since the Stone Age, and during all that time to today, Arcanine has been by the sides of humans forever, as these Pokemon are some of the most loyal companions. They were even the most valued Pokemon during the Ice Age, as their bodies were warm to the touch and provided warmth, especially through the coldest of blizzards. Arcanine easily understand human speech, and they are some of the most trustworthy partners. In fact, there is a legend of a general that conquered an entire country with its faithful companion being an Arcanine always by its side. Arcanine are some of the most loyal Pokemon that you'll ever meet, that if they were to fail or even hurt their own trainers, they would never forgive themselves. Arcanine's beauty and elegance knows no bounds, as it's one of the most beautiful Pokemon as well as most well known of all time. It has so much folklore to it. However, the folklore began many years ago in the Hisui region. That's right, back in the ancient days of Hisui, Arcanine was an entirely different creature, as it was Hisuian Arcanine. So, let's go back in time and see what a legacy that it had. So, let's travel back in time to the Hisui region and see what made Arcanine become such a legendary Pokemon. In the olden days of the Hisui region, Arcanine, or commonly known as Hisuian Arcanine, was an entirely different Pokemon. Not just did it have a new appearance with that beautiful ash coloring, but it also had an entirely different typing. Instead of being the pure fire type we knew, it was a fire and a rock type Pokemon. Also, Hisuian Arcanine was worshipped by many people as they saw it as one of the most elegant Pokemon and would follow it into battle without any question. According to Professor Laverton's research in the Hisui region, despite Hisuian Arcanine's bulk and heavy appearance, it's actually a very light Pokemon. Also, it oftentimes leads its prey on a merry chase, but when you think it's about to strike, instead it dazzles them by dancing all around them with a fiery dance. You might want to watch your hands around Hisuian Arcanine, especially with both its mane and its mouth. If it snaps at its foes, its fangs cloaked in blazing flames can really do some damage as they're hot as lava. Also, their fur may look fluffy, but believe me, that is one of the hottest things out there. They also can melt metal with a single bite or against anything that they rub. Hisuian Arcanine's mane is a sight to behold, but be careful, as this mane contains indigenous rocks, as this Pokemon is known to bathe in hot lava. Its body never loses heat from that molten rock within. Also, this is probably the most warm Pokemon you can be with, especially during the harshest of winters. It's really sad that this beautiful form of Arcanine was lost to time, as it's such an amazing appearance. It's possible that as time went on, Arcanine started relying more on fire-type moves, turning its typing into a pure fire typing. Maybe the rock typing is still there, we just don't know it. But seeing this Pokemon's volcanic appearance does make me wonder, is this Pokemon the one that was responsible for eruptions? Or is it possible that living in the volcanoes might just be what restores Arcanine to its original Hisuian appearance? Arcanine made its debut in the Pokemon Indigo League series episode, The Battle of the Badge, where it was under the ownership of Gary Oak, who used it on Giovanni. However, when Giovanni sent out Mewtwo, that thing destroyed Arcanine. In the core series games, Arcanine serves as the ace of Gym Leader Blaine's team in his gym battles at Cinnabar Island, and in the Hisui region, Hisuian Arcanine serves as Polina's ace, as she loves firepower. Also, Hisuian Arcanine serves as the second-in-command on Volo's team for his Temple Challenge. The moment Growlithe evolves into Arcanine, Arcanine immediately learns its signature move, Extreme Speed. And with that incredible speed it has to back it up, you can see why. Back in the ancient days of the Hisui region, Hisuian Arcanine and Infernape are the only Pokemon capable of learning the move, Raging Fury. In Pokemon Red and Blue Beta, Arcanine was originally going to be known as Blaze. Also, its beta artwork had wings and no stripes. Currently, Hisuian Arcanine is the only regional variant that uses the same stone as its counterpart Cantonian Arcanine, as both of these Pokemon need a Fire Stone in order to be evolved into. Arcanine can be seen as parallel, as well as the counterpart to Ninetales, as both of them are Generation 1 pure Fire-type Pokemon that only evolve when exposed to the Fire Stone. Also, Arcanine and Ninetales have always been version exclusives, as they can only be caught in one game, but never the same one. Oh, on a really cool note, each of them have a 75 to 25% gender difference. And on a really cool note, these Pokemon both have the ability Flash Fire and are based off of canine-like creatures from Japanese folklore, with Arcanine being Shisa and Ninetales being a Kitsune. In their Cantonian forms, being pure Fire-type Pokemon, Growlithe and Arcanine are very strong. However, fire can still be put out by a couple of other types, and the moves that both Arcanine and Growlithe are weak to are Water type, Ground type, and Rock type. Only 3 weaknesses for these Pokemon, not so bad, but we saw the modern day and the Cantonian forms of them. Let's travel back into the ancient times of the Hisui region and check out the weaknesses of Hisuian Growlithe and Arcanine. Back in the ancient days of the Hisui region, not only did Growlithe and Arcanine live there, but they also had a completely different appearance as well as an entirely new typing. Instead of being just pure Fire type, they were Fire and Rock type, and they also had a few new weaknesses, being to moves that were Rock type and Fighting type. Oops, actually there's a few more, but these are only the ×2 weaknesses. Because of the dual typing of Fire and Rock, these Pokemon have moves that when they're hit that do ×4 damage and can be a real pain to them. These moves that hit both Hisuian Arcanine and Hisuian Growlithe with ×4 damage are moves that are Water type and Ground type. Well, the dual typing of Fire and Rock can be rather risky, and it does give them a lot of weaknesses. Well, why don't we go back to the future and see what happens when these Pokemon lose their Rock typing and become pure Fire type as we check out their strengths. With that power of pure Fire type backing up both Growlithe and Arcanine, these Pokemon are raring to go, especially since they charge headfirst into battle, blazing strong. Being Fire-type Pokemon, their Fire-type moves are ready to burn Pokemon that are Grass-type, Bug-type, Ice-type, and Steel-type. Great to know that these Pokemon have more strengths than they have weaknesses. Well, what can I say? Playing with fire is gonna get you burned. Now that we've seen the strengths of both the Cantonian forms of Growlithe and Arcanine, let's go again back to the past and see the strengths of Hisuian Growlithe and Hisuian Arcanine. With the incredible dual typing that is Rock and Fire, Hisuian Arcanine and Hisuian Growlithe learn a lot of moves that really take down a lot of foes, and they're ready for battle to set things ablaze. With their Fire and Rock type moves, they're ready to take down Pokemon that are Steel type, Grass type, Flying type, Fire type, Bug type, and Ice type. Wow, these Pokemon sure gained a lot of strengths with that new Rock typing added to them. Not just do they have such a cool appearance, but they really were strong Pokemon. Shame as time went on, they lost the Rock typing, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta lose some to gain some. Every Pokemon has an ability, and Growlithe and Arcanine, being fire dogs, have 2 different abilities. If you catch them in the wild, they can either have the ability Intimidate, or they can have the ability Flash Fire. A Growlithe and an Arcanine with the ability Intimidate can be very scary to their opponents, as right off the bat, as they enter the field, they immediately lower their opponent's attack stat. In either their Cantonian or their Hisuian forms, you don't mess with fire dogs, because when you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. A Growlithe and an Arcanine with the ability Flash Fire really know how to turn up the heat, because if they're hit with any moves that are fire type, it won't do any damage to them, but instead will raise their fire type moves. These Pokemon really know how to bring the heat. Oftentimes people say, don't add fuel to the fire, and with that ability, truer words have never been spoken. When Generation 5 introduced hidden abilities, Arcanine and Growlithe also obtained these incredible hidden abilities. For their Cantonian forms, they have the hidden ability Justified. Whenever they're hit with a dark type move, this raises their attack stat, as these Pokemon stand for truth and justice. Also, since they're fire type, the darkness will never swallow their fire. And in the Hisui region, with their Hisuian forms adding the new rock typing, they have the hidden ability Rock Head. With those powerful rock-solid bodies, these Pokemon can charge headfirst into anything and take no recoil damage. We've had a lot of dog Pokemon introduced over the years, but the first ones we ever got, being Growlithe and Arcanine, have really left a burning impression. After all, they've been in almost every region. It's nice that we got to meet their past counterparts, as it proves just how loyal of companions both Arcanine and Growlithe truly are. For the longest time, I really wanted Growlithe and Arcanine to have regional variants. I'm glad that the Hisui region gave us our wish, giving us the Hisuian Growlithe and Arcanine. I also love the typing of Fire and Rock. They may have been pure Fire type, but that Rock typing was amazing, especially since these Pokemon are based off of indigenous rock. Now, you really know that when you mess with them, you're gonna get burned. Seeing that both Growlithe and Arcanine are based off of creatures of both Chinese and Japanese mythology really makes me hope that someday we get a game based on China. Mainly for the fact that I really would love to see these Pokemon have regional variants there. Also, what I really love the most about these Pokemon is that they're a mix of both canine and feline, making them really some of the coolest Pokemon designs as well as hybrids. I'm happy that the bonds between Growlithe, Arcanine, and humans has never changed. These Pokemon will be by our side for many more years to come. Oh, and I gotta say, I hope that you stay warm this winter. These are some of the best Pokemon that might just warm you up. Seeing that they warmed us up during the Ice Age, and they still do now, as well as some of them are rescue dogs, really proves just how loyal these companions can be. You can call them your friends, but I think the best word you can call these guys is hot dogs. Welcome back, trainers! I've warmed up so much with both of our loyal fire dogs by our side. I hope you had a wonderful time learning about Growlithe, Arcanine, as well as their Hisuian counterparts. Before we end this, I just have a few questions for you. Do you like evolutionary stones, trainers? If so, which one is your favorite? Also, who's your favorite Pokemon that evolved using an evolutionary stone? We've had a lot of dog Pokemon introduced over the years. Who's your favorite dog Pokemon of all time? Have you ever raised Growlithe and Arcanine in any games? Or have you oftentimes opted for Vulpix and Ninetales and gone with the other games? We've had a lot of Fire-type Pokemon introduced all over the years. Who's your favorite Fire-type Pokemon of all time, as well as what's your favorite Fire-type move? And do you prefer Growlithe and Arcanine in their Cantonian forms, or do you prefer their Hisuian forms that were introduced in Pokemon Legends Arceus a bit better? Thank you so much, Chris Crosspoints and Michael Kutherson 704 for giving me the idea to do this video. Well, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions, you want to see another Pokemon line get covered, you have an idea that you want turned into a video, or you want me to cover something else Pokemon related, then please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. And also, feel free to share me to all other trainers out there. As a Pokemon professor, it's my job to teach trainers like you. And thanks for watching, trainers. Palm out!